Hello and welcome to the session in which we will go over a CPA exam simulation that covers the inventory cycle, specifically the audit of the pricing and the compilation. Now this CPA exam simulation is pretty comprehensive. It's going to have a series of questions. I will show you on the exam what it would look like, what would they ask you, and how would you solve it. Let's go over it first, see what we are giving, and see how it would appear, how could have appeared on the exam. This way, if it's something like this appear, you know what to look for, how to approach it. Very, very important when it comes to inventory. So we have the auditors of Noah's Enterprise perform a clerical inventory test covering 10% of the inventory's total dollar value. The following discrepancies have been identified. So the auditor did the work and we find out the following extension errors. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 items and there is some sort of an extension error we're going to have to cover. We're going to have to figure out later once we try to answer the questions. All what I'm doing now is going over these tests. Then they perform a cost variance, identifying the variances between the current and the prior year, and this is what they find out. The unit, this year cost, last year cost, and there are 3 items, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to see what we need to do with this. So basically what you're doing here is you're browsing real quick the exhibits. Those are the exhibit, and there's a test count. The auditor was unable to trace the final inventory compilation. So they did a test count and they did not find these 2 tags in the final inventory. That's fine. And there's test 4, page total footing errors. The page number 11, the client total $9,744.62. Our total is $9,744.10. On page 26, there's a total of $4,810. The correct amount should be $4,180. It's what we computed. And this is basically deals with compilation. So you are giving this. Now let's take a look at what's required. So here the first thing we have to do is calculate all line item misstatement for test 1, which are the extension errors, and test 4. Test 4 is basically easy. They're just telling you how much the client computed, how much you computed. Now for test 1, for the purpose of this simulation, every single line, I'm going to tell you, it's going to have an error. On the CPA exam, they will not give you every line has an error. You have to determine whether the line has an error or not. I should not have told you this right now, but I'm telling you this so you would, because this is a practice. On the CPA exam, you might see an error in one line and all other 3 are good. 3 of the 4 could be misstated, 2, so on and so forth. But here they're telling you all of them. For test 2 and 3, state the most likely cause of each discrepancies. There are discrepancies, and the audit follow-up you would perform to resolve it. Now, on the actual exam, what they would do, they would give you a drop-down menu and most likely causes, maybe 4 or 5, and you have to select one. And how would you follow up another box, and how would you follow up 4 or 5 options, and you would select one. Now, today I'm going to explain to you the process, but this is how you would see it on the exam day. At the end, combine the misstatement to find the sample's net over or under misstatement and project that amount to the full inventory population, ignoring sample and risk. Remember what we're doing, we're only auditing 10% of the inventory, and what we need to do is we need to project this amount to the overall inventory. So we're going to start with the extension errors to find out if there's an error, how much is the error, and how do we deal with it. So as soon as I go to the next page, you can pause it here and try to solve this problem, starting with the extension error before I process it. Once I go to 2, you do the same thing, so on and so forth. But on the exam day, most likely there's a dollar amount. You'll put the dollar amount of the error, and there's another box most likely, and it will be, is it under or over misstatement of inventory from this extension error. So that's all you would have to do on the exam day in a sense of submitting the work. But here we're going to go over each item separately and examine it, see what the error is and how do we solve it. Let's go ahead and start to resolve the CPA exam simulation. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses, broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today.
Starting with the wood. The quantity is 740 board feet. The price is 14 cents per board feet. The extension as recorded by the client is $1,036. Now, if we take, in reality, 740 multiplied by 14 pennies, what you will get is $103.60, not $1,036. So what happened here is a simple decimal error. That's what happened. It should be 103.6, not $1,036. Okay, we found this problem. Notice it could be a simple decimal. So here what you have to do, you have to scan real quick on the exam, perform quick computation to make sure things make sense. Otherwise, you'll be like, what should I do here? Look for the error. The first thing you do is to just multiply them and see if it makes sense. The solid carbide jobber bits, we have 57 units. Each unit is $25.81, and the extension as recorded is $1,741.17. However, if you take 57 units, you multiply it by $25.81, you will get $1,471.17. This is a transposition error. Notice what happened. The 4 and the 7 are switched. So the amount is $1,471. So again, from a misstatement, overstatement, or understatement, I just want you to be familiar with those terms. For the wood, just let's go back to the wood. This was an overstatement for the wood. For the jobber bits, it was an overstatement, because notice they're reporting 1,700. We should have 1,400. So both of these are overstatement. And how much is the overstatement? You'll take the difference between them. Okay, let's keep going with the machine coolant. We have 18 barrels times 56. Now, at face value, you would know if we take 18 barrels times 56, I hope you know it should not be $108. How much it should be? It should be $1,008. Again, what we are doing here, we made a math mistake. Here, the error is we understated. The machine coolant should be $1,080. It's $180. We understated. Okay, we took care of this issue. Let's look at the abrasive sheets to find out what it looks like. If we take 800 sheets times $1, $800. This looks good. No, it doesn't. Be careful. We have 800 sheets, okay? And it's $1 per 100 sheet, not $1 per sheet. Be careful. Be careful. Make sure the unit makes sense. So what does that mean? Whoever made this mistake is taking 800 sheets, assuming it's $1 per sheet. It's $1 per 100 sheets. Therefore, we should only have actually $8, not 800. Again, here what we are doing is we are overstating inventory. Now let's go ahead and net them out. So let me show you what the net would look like. So this way you would see what it looks like. So here's the explanation step by step. Then I'm going to show you the final answer. So notice 103.60 is the correct answer. There's a misstatement, an overstatement. There's another overstatement of 270. Basically the difference between those two. This is an understatement. We understated our inventory, and here we overstated our inventory. So overall, from step 1, we overstated inventory by $1,094.40. You might have to write this somewhere because they're asking you for the overall difference. So this is what we find out from test 1. Once again, on the CPA exam, you could only have one error. So they will give you 4 things and there's only one error. So sometimes you're just going to say would, for example, not applicable. It means there's no error. Or there might be an error. You have to be careful. I know you're going to be under pressure, but that's the point. Have confidence. Look for the units. Do the multiplication. Does this make sense? Does the number make sense or not? Now let's look at test 2. In test 2, we have cost variances identified between the prior year and the current year inventory record. Let's see what we are supposed to do for this. For this, what are we supposed to do? For test 2, for test 2 and 3 for that matter, but now we're focusing on test 2. State the most likely cause of each discrepancy and the audit follow-up you would perform to resolve it. So on test 2, there's a discrepancy. You got to state the most likely cause and what you will do to resolve it. So let's go to test 2. Let's go back to test 2 data. So there's a discrepancy. Find the most obvious reason for this, if there is a reason, and how would you follow up on this? Once again, those could be a drop-down list. Let's take a look at the LX220 laser cutting heads. We have 9 units. This year's cost is $930. The preceding year cost is unable to locate. So, unable to locate, it means what? It means it's not giving to us. As an auditor, what should you do? You want to take a look. You want to take a look to see, identify the difference, the cost variances between how much we paid for these LX220 laser cutting heads last year and this year. How would you resolve this? I'll look at the invoices for last year, and the invoices should show me. So if we bought them from this company, go to last year, how much were we paying for the units? This year was $930. How much were we paying last year? You could look at the invoice, and if you want to be even more confident, look at the check that they sent, and this is exactly how much they paid. If they paid $910 or $950, whatever, then this is going to tell us, if let's assume the price dropped a lot, or the price was much higher. Let's assume the price was $1,500 indeed, and now it's $930. We might have an obsolescence issue. That's why you want to take a look at these costs. You're asking, why do I need to look at this? Because there could be an issue of obsolescence, but you'll check the vendor number and it should tell you about the cost. Let's look at the copper scrap. 3,600 pound. Last year cost reported at $17 per ton. I'm sorry, this year cost is $17 per pound. Last year was $79 per pound. So what would you say if you're looking at those two figures? Well, that's a huge drop in the price. Well, true. What could be the issue? One, there might be no issue. Why? Because in the real world, you might have a market price for the copper scrap. And if the copper scrap went down from 79 to 17, if there's a market, then that's reasonable. There's nothing wrong with this. But we cannot assume that here. So that's one possible explanation, is that drop is true, real. But what happened if that drop is not real? What should you do now? As accounting student, CPA exam candidate, go to farhatlectures.com, look at additional resources, lectures, multiple choice, true, false. You want to understand the cycle, and you want to understand how you apply the information from the various cycles to various scenarios, and this is an example of it. Good luck. Invest in yourself. That's the best investment you can make, and stay safe.